Welcome, adventurers, to a brand new ShawnSetGO video. Today, we're going to be covering the first look at player housing. Now, myself, I have had a number of concerns when it comes to player housing, namely between like how useful it should be in normal day-to-day play, but also how much should it be a community involvement, or should it just be a solo type of experience? But with that comes fears of, is this going to be a Garrisons 2.0? Is there things that are going to make this something you can grow and customize, or is it just going to be something that, you know, you can do up to a certain point and then it's just kind of limited by store values? So I think that there's going to be a number of things that could trip and make this not as good as expected. But a lot of us, I think, in the community are standing in sort of a state of, we're just hoping for something. As long as we get something that establishes a baseline and something for us to work off. So I'm not going to be heavily critical on this just because it is a first look, but also because this is something that I think a lot of us players in World of Warcraft and really MMOs in general have hoped for a long time. So let's dive straight into this. So it says, building in Azeroth, a first look at housing. The construction of the new housing system in Azeroth is underway, and we're taking you behind the scenes to give you an early look at what housing development team has been working on. Watch your step and don't miss the dust. Or don't mind the dust. Hard hats are not required. Welcome home, adventurers. We're excited to kick off our first look at housing in World of Warcraft and share some of our philosophies and plans for this new feature with you. First up, we're focusing on high-level design pillars for housing, as well as talking about a few key areas of housing as we lay the foundation for future discussions. We have lots to cover, so let's jump in. Fortifying housing with pillars. We're developing with such large new features, it's useful to start first by defining its pillars. They help the development team get on the same page before we start building. Okay, so you mean like design pillars, like these are the tenants that we're following. I was thinking like physical pillars of some sort. I think it's kind of throwing me a bit, so I was kind of confused. So, as well as providing a guiding light when making decisions and identifying priorities, it's important to note that while these pillars are broad in scope by their nature, they aren't all encompassing. Just because something isn't mentioned in a pillar doesn't mean it's not important. Or it isn't part of a feature. I think that's kind of the natural course of things, though. When you don't include those and it's a high priority for somebody, there is that fear. I will say that broader categories are very understandable. It's just that it's hard to understand a broader category as being like a catch-all when there's features that are inevitably people are expecting. So our 3 pillars for housing, while they fit into 3. Concept art for new rugged decor. That's actually cool. I hope you can fill it like that, but also you can hope you can fill it like you can customize placement like that. But that actually looks really cool too. Balanced self-expression. Our highest priority is to allow players to build a house that shows off their personal taste of their warbands, acts as a desired backdrop for role playing, or just allows players to create something in a flight of fancy. The tool set should be easy enough for someone with no 3D experience to be comfortable with and use successfully. But it should also be powerful enough that players can be surprise us with their creations or drill down to get the tiniest details just right. The gaming of decor options spans not just the cultures of Azeroth, but many expansions into World of Warcraft as well. This is what I'm hoping for. I guess if I were to base it off a certain framework, I would probably say like Fallout 4 after some of the fixes came in, where a lot of the snapping wasn't working initially. It was fixed later on. So I do hope it snaps really, really well. I also hope that if the idea is to kind of give people with massive warbands a feature, I hope that it means that flight of fancy, that third part, is also something useful for players who they maybe have an alt but don't have a ton of characters. Not everybody is just going to have oodles and boodles of materials and achievements and characters. So if this is an expression of that, I understand, but I hope it's not only that. I guess is the idea. Deeply social. World of Warcraft is more fun with other players, and housing should be no different. While players can enjoy housing purely on their own, its systems are designed at a fundamental level to encourage interacting, playing, and progressing with friends, neighbors, guilds, and the wider community in a meaningful way. I really hope that it doesn't mean that you just get a buff if you visit someone's house and then you just move on. I hope this means that you can have guild communities. You can also have friend communities, close friend communities, as well as neighbors. If it's an instance like cornered off location, I think you have to have those features to where you can have close neighbors so those things can interact. And also, I mean, it would be nice to have dailies that are meaningful in those areas so you can interact in those ways with people maybe outside of your friends list. That way you can kind of find people that way. It's nice to find people in the world. It's not always that you can find people in the world outside of what you're doing. Often you're kind of just flying from place to place. So kind of an area where it's not so important that you have to travel eons of distance. You know, people are right next to you. That's kind of like the classic feel that I think people are missing. Long-lasting journey. Housing is being built as an evergreen addition to the game with its own roadmap reaching across multiple patches and into future expansions. Housing isn't something that players should expect to finish, but instead continually look forward to on the next housing release, be it new content or systems. This is a long-term commitment for us as developers and offers players rewards and all along the way. I think this is something that I am excited for because with housing, there's different housing styles. And I think you can have a number of housings that are based in the many races that are in the games, as well as the factions. And then also kind of commingling those with the styles of fantasy, like decor and fantasy, like home life. Like where does a warrior go at the end of the day? Where does the champion go at the end of the day? And this is the place, is the idea. And accommodating the players who want like Conan the Barbarian home, as well as the players who want fluffy island, you know, pink and shine. You should be able to do both. I think both should be available, and not just one design, just the design that you want, and you can go into that further. Because that's one of the flaws in things like, for example, like Animal Crossing or like Stardew Valley or some of those games where you have like a home area that you can design, is a limitation in how many variations there are in certain designs. There's certain things that just have a limit as far as what you can do with it. Maybe one set and that's it. We're at a point in WoW where there's just so many different variations. So I hope they give a baseline of a good variety, because if they start off with very little, that may dissuade people, in my opinion. So zoning in on the home. We've seen a lot of discussion. Wait, have we already reached the pillars? Is it the yellows? I'm assuming it's the yellows. Zoning in on home. We've seen a lot of discussion and speculation from the community on where players will be able to have houses. We've decided early on that there will be 2 housing zones available at launch, one for Alliance and one for Horde. There will be more possible places to live in the future. Alliance zones take inspiration from the Elwyn Forest with touches of Westfall and Duskwood, and the Horde is inspired by Durotar, its coastline, and Ashara. There are many reasons for this decision. Having many housing zone conflicts with the second pillar of designing a feature that is deeply social. In a world where players can live in many different zones, they become increasingly spread out, and even with aggressive sharding, the chance of seeing other players, much less interacting with them, drops quickly. Putting it bluntly, zones are a lot of work. We'd much rather do a great job with a small number of zones than do a passable job on a large number. Or come up with solutions that take the player out of the world into their own personal instance of a zone. We chose these as our starting points because of how iconic they are for their respective factions and how much they feel like home to so many players already. My fear with this is that home just becomes essentially the Dalaran Hearthstone of locations, that basically, I mean, everyone's going to be in Dornagal, but you go to home for like a little bit. So not that my desire is for everything to be spread out, but I think everything in WoW, because there is so much content, should bring you back to that older content and revitalize it. Bring it back to life. A lot of those areas are dying because there's no purpose of going there. So I think that having 2 zones, I understand its purpose and I get why. But at the same time, I feel like this just makes one area where I don't know if a whole lot of world interaction is happening there. And it does seem like, from the sound of this, it does seem a bit cut off. Outfitting your home. Similarly, there have been discussions in the community on whether housing will be pay to play or win. Along with other conversations around real world money, we've been very aligned in our internet conversations, our internal conversations, that housing is designed to be primary player first and not revenue first. Housing will offer hundreds and hundreds of decorations and house customizations via in-game rewards, but will also offer a small number of items in cash shop as well. This is comparable to how transmogs and pets currently handled in game versus the shop. We want to allow players to have as many options as possible for creating their perfect home in Azeroth. I get this. I understand it. I think the transmogs in the in-game versus the shop, to me, like, I have no desire to do the shop ones, and I only grab the ones I want from the in-game. But at least when the shop first came out, it felt like the best designs were only going into the shop, and then we were getting like poorly rendered stuff in the in-game. Now that's different, you know. Now things have been, you know, like, things have improved for sure, but it was definitely a growth versus like it started out that way. So I hope that's the case here. A home for everyone. As part of our focus on wide adoption, we wanted to ensure that housing is available for everyone. If you want a house, you can have a house. No exorbitant requirements or high purchase costs, no lotteries, no onerous upkeep. I'm assuming they're talking about Final Fantasy. And if you subscription lapses, don't worry, your house doesn't get repossessed. That'd be hilarious, actually. Your houses are also shared amongst your warband, with your different characters being able to come and go as you see fit. So your orc character can hang in your alliance house without a problem. Housing rewards are also shared across your warband, so you'll be able to use your decor collection no matter what character earns it. Furthermore, it's not just warbands that cross factional lines, but friendships as well. So you'll be able to live in or visit your friends or guildmates' houses and their neighborhoods with minimal restrictions regarding faction. For example, while it's not possible for your human character to buy a house in the Horde zone, your troll character in the same warband can, and then your human can use it as if it were their own. Okay. I mean, like, why have restrictions anyways? But okay, I understand, I guess, to a degree. Will you be my neighbor? Mr. Rogers. Before we go, we wanted to mention the concept of neighborhoods as a small tease. Houses are organized in roughly 50 plot neighborhoods. Wow. Letting players live next to each other, work together, and share in the rewards of being in part of the neighborhood. Neighborhoods are instant, but crucially also persistent, so your neighbors can be your neighbors for years to come, or until one of you moves. Neighborhoods can also come in two flavors: public neighborhoods, which the game serves as responsible for creating as needed and maintaining, and private neighborhoods created by groups of friends or guilds to inhabit, progress, and customize together. So while an individual can have a house, community can have a neighborhood. This is just an initial look at the blueprint we've been working at for housing. There are a lot more ground to cover and details to get into, and we'll look forward to your thoughts and feedback as we share more articles in the future. I think this will be exciting. I think there's a lot of things that, because like the way this is set up, it could be very exciting. Now, I think that right now, as a base level, this is fine. I think this will work. But let's look at the comments. I think we would be remiss if we didn't. Looking forward to housing. Forward to this. The preview looks amazing. Neighborhoods, heck yes. Looks really cozy, warm home, internal service area. Yeah, this has to be the funniest internal server error considering the topic. Well, I hope the system works better than the link to the article. Bring back island expeditions. It doesn't inspire much confidence, but it's quite amusing. I only want neighbors I can war against as a head of HOA with a strict ruling on hunter pets. Yeah, HOA. I guess I hope, more than things being very cookie cutter, oddly enough, this is what I hope for the most. I hope that truly you can interact with the world sort of in a free way. Whereas you're kind of in a miniature like server, and it kind of can be like a GTA RP type of situation. Where you have like small little town centers, small little areas where you can interact with others. I think that would be a good like progress moving forward, where these neighborhoods can sort of interact in a sort of way. But maybe having that transfer to like the overarching like overworlds of World of Warcraft. So we'll see. As part of our focus on wide adoption, we wanted to ensure that housing is available to everyone. They don't hold back on those Final Fantasy blows. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, people go crazy for those houses, so they must be worth it, right? Super excited. What I'm most hyped about is neighborhoods. I think all of us are for sure. Those look insane. Both the article itself and the fact that there is an official WoW account on Reddit that brings us this news. Yeah, that's nice. I think WoW is they're more interacting with Reddit than they used to. They should make a new profession like carpenter to make new furniture. Maybe. I mean, I could see that as like a profession that everyone can employ. I mean, I think RuneScape did that, didn't they? So I could foresee that. This is a good start from the language around customization. Seems that they'll be taking it seriously for how personal and customizable these homes will be. I will say I am hoping that it's not just you purchase it from the store and then you have that item. I hope it's like you unlock the ability to have these things and then you customize it how you want to. That way, there's a little bit of personal touch that you'd have on these to make them like actually yours, and not just you either have it or you don't. Like you just got it or you don't. Like I mean, I can understand them not doing it, but I just hope it's a little bit more customizable than just you got it from the unlock or you don't. That's just my thought on it, though. Excited for this. Hope I can decorate and have fun with it. Wow, if you deliver on no barrier to entry, exciting public and private housing, and completely customizable decoration, then this could be a wonderful evolution of the Final Fantasy XIV housing system. Yeah. I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy XIV. A lot of blows at Final Fantasy XIV. Durtar sucks. Why Durtar? Yeah, I mean, like Ashara's, like I would say, if you look at Ashara from like the position of like not like the cruddy sunken statues, but like the look of it, there are beautiful parts of the Horde, but yeah, it is a lot of a vibe. It's a certain vibe. So I hope Horde does get some decent ones in there. I mean, main one that I'm thinking of is of course Silver Moon. So I think there is possibilities within the Horde there to make it work. Please dial back the monetization. No store items. Having even one makes the whole category of cosmetics instantly less cool. I would say how store items could work that I think that would not be too imposing on the stuff that you earn in game would be things like if you made the store items unlock additional customizations to things that already exist. So you know that if you have the store item that you have sort of a design that no one's gonna have, but you can make it a blanket one as well. So it's like, well, if you want the gold tipped items on these red banners, for example, across the board, that's a purchase. You know, that's a purchase that you're making. But now everything that you do can have that gold customization. If you want blood-soaked items, you know, something really dark and creepy, you can unlock it, but then it's unlocked across the board. So if customization of items, that to me makes more sense than just making a single item purchase, because then it feels too microtransaction-y. That, or kind of go with the set methodology that they do currently with the in-game shop for transmogs, where you do purchase a set and it does feel a little bit more, it feels like you get a little bit more than a single purchase. So either the set mentality or like a blanket unlock for whenever you purchase something. That's kind of the way I liked it for, this is a weird comparison, but Gears of War. When you got a skin customization, you'd unlock it for the set. But then they started doing ones that were just for singular items and it didn't feel as good. So I like the sets better. Like those were super cool. So that's what I think could work in that regard. Horde, Mud Hut, Alliance, beautiful stonemason crafted home with a warm hearth and lovely golden chandeliers. I would say there's a lot of there's a lot more horde that could make it cool. And Tauren's a great example, and High Mountain Tauren going even further. So I hope that they do customizations for each race in that regard. I think that would be so cool. I think that would work really well as well. So yeah, then there's this one. This post here, it says, how will player housing differ from the isolation that player garrisons offered, and what would make it exciting for you? Player housing has been asked for a long time. I think that we got some of that with the garrisons and Warlords of Draenor, but my question is, if it's personal space, ergo, and for the individual and the other players' interaction design is to be limited to the fit the individual, how will it not fall into the same pitfalls that the garrison did? I think because of them having neighborhoods, that does kind of quell that thought. I think expanding beyond that will be important to have communities, and not something that you just take a portal to, but something that expands upon that world. So in a way that you can have guild applications work a little bit better. You can have like literally in-game, in-person applications instead of having to go into a Discord, or doing something to where it's easier to group with members because you can find people in the game who are grouping for something. That would be cool instead of having to open a menu. Now you can of course have the menu, but just having that option would be nice. So I think grouping with people in your realm and grouping people with people in the world would be nice. Just looking further, but that also would help the isolation part of it as well. Don't offer any quality of life except mailbox, making housing just a purely cosmetic place you can decorate for your enjoyment and nothing more. Garrisons had too much utility. I don't know. I go between these two ideas. I think it is a great idea to make it more than just cosmetics and have function. But then also, I think it's better to kind of leave it like a Gary's mod, or to leave it like a GTA, where it's like an open server. What you choose to do with it is pretty custom. But imagine like a open world World of Warcraft, mods and add-ons can make the effects, but basically you can allow for a lot of RP, but also a lot of just like interaction outside of the normal, like typical World of Warcraft experience. So I think there's definitely a lot of options that they can go there, but they can also go to the complete freedom route and allow people to kind of choose what they want to do. And I think that will introduce a lot of players who just want to play the game to be in the world with other people and maybe get a little bit of fun out of it and have some cool games that they can do together. But not necessarily, like, you don't have to necessarily have stuff that's like, oh yeah, this is something you have to do for Raid or something you have to do for Mythic Plus. I don't think they have to do that. So that being said, a lot of ways that can avoid having complete isolationism there. And I don't think utility is the reason. I think it's just purely because it was you by yourself and in an isolated instance. So that not being the case is already kind of solved in a way. So with that being said, I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope if you have any ideas that maybe weren't mentioned in this that you're hoping to see in housing, let me know in the comments. Of course, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the page while you're at it. We are currently on the road to 1,500 subscribers on our YouTube page, as well as onto 1,000 on our Twitch page. So you can also follow us there at twitch.tv/ShawnSetGO. We do make WoW content, as well as starting to make some variety content for our members only as well. So you can sign up for our members subscription. So there you can see some of our exclusive content that we do live on stream, and then some of the stuff that we do off stream as well for variety content outside of WoW. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video, but until next time, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.